What's up, guys? Hope you're having a good day. In this video, I'm going to break down the CPI, the core CPI, the possibility of Fed's pausing interest rates, and just like market direction from after the CPI came out this morning. So, CPI came in at 3.2. It was expected to be 3.3. Last month, it came in at a 3.7, so it came in much better than expected. We do have the PPI and the core PPI tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. That's at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. As of right now, there's a 99.8% probability that the Federal Reserve is going to pause the rate hikes. It was before the CPI came out this morning, it was at 15%. But now that inflation is low enough to justify pausing rate hikes. So just a little bit about that. I'm still getting into it, still learning more about it. But yeah, let me break down this small little trade I took. Made me like $40. I really didn't feel comfortable trading today. Um, Even when we opened up at on 9:30 a.m., we were already pretty overbought to the point where I so like one thing I actually want to bring up is that strategy I'm always talking about, that first 15-minute open range breakout strategy, right? We had a high, sorry, at 863, and we had a low at 789. Now, the one thing I have noticed is on days where it's like this, where there is very little gap, like very little gap in between it, from the high to the low. When there's very little gap, I have noticed that those are days that I do tend to want to stay away from, mainly because one, direction always tends to be unclear on those days, and two, there tends to be very little volume. So very little price movement, price action is very little. But yeah, I actually waited for that perfect setup. We had a break above that 863 level. Once we started to validate it as a nice support, I did go long. I don't know what happened with I don't know what happened with my keypad, but when I wanted to go buy the market, I guess I must have double tapped it and I bought two contracts instead of one. And as you guys know in the past, I really only like to trade with one just because you can you can lose a lot of money with just two contracts. You know it's a lot easier to control how much you lose with one contract, but with two you can lose a great deal amount. And I just have to be careful about that simply because I do only have $1,000 loss limit, daily loss limit that I'm allowed to take. So I do have to be careful about that. That $40 did bring me up to 1307 right now. Still working towards that 3K. But yeah, I honestly held the trade for like 17 seconds. I'm actually going to show you guys in a second, just because like I really, by the time I got into the trade at around 10:30, 10:25, I mean we were already overbought as it is, and I knew with like QQQ, because I've told you guys in the past I do have another computer where I watch QQQ, but I just do like longer time frames, and they all like correlate with each other, and they all make the same movements. Um, Excuse me. But yeah, I just didn't really hold the trade that long. I didn't feel comfortable, especially when I bought that second one by accident. Thankfully, I bought it at like the exact same price, but I was a little cautious, so I got out. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. Actually, before I even got into that trade, I it was around 10, 10, 15. I was like, you know what? I was like, we're already overbought. I was like, we're getting really close to a resistance. I think like the 52-week high was at like 387, 386 for QQQ, and we were getting really close to that, especially when the around an hour after the market opened. So I was trying to be very cautious, and I'm going to zoom out real quick just to show you guys how the rest of the market did. As you can see, even though we did hold above this open range resistance for a while, we did really have very little price movement, even all the way up to 4 o'clock. Just very little price movement, nothing really big. So, if anybody held like TQQQ or held like overnight calls on QQQ, um, props to you. You guys made some money for sure. So, props to you. Happy for you guys. But yeah, just something real short, simple, and sweet today. Nothing big. Didn't really make any trades. I just didn't feel comfortable getting in with how overbought it was and with how good the CPI came in. I just didn't feel comfortable with going short. Um, I do try to stick to the old saying, the trend is your friend. If, and like, I think it was like 9:45 a.m. We were already, NASDAQ was already up like 2%. Like, it was just one of those things where we were already up so much that, basically if you didn't trade the aftermath of the report right after it came out, you sort of missed out on a little bit. But even then, that's really risky. So you got to be careful with that. But yeah, just wanted to get on here, mainly talk about the CPI, the PPI, and the core CPI, and how the Feds are most likely now going to pause rate hikes, because now that they can justify that inflation is low enough, they can justify, pausing it. Last I recall, they have not even begun to talk about cutting rate hikes. So we'll see where that it goes in the next few months. I'm curious to see how December CPI will look, especially since it is the end of the year. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy this video. Hope you guys have a good day. Like and subscribe. If you guys got any recommendation for future videos, comment below. I much appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow.